Hey, great rising, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode. There we go. Great rising, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode of The Closing Table. This is episode 39. Man, we are almost at the big 40.
Big 40.
40's coming soon.
Did you have a little hiccup there like Twitter had a big hiccup last night on
huge hiccup. This is what
Yeah.
this is the thing about technology. You always think it's supposed to do what it wants, but it never comes out correct. So, but yeah, man, I definitely must say I'm super excited to be back this morning. Daniel, Florida insurance man, James Garman, CEO, ELG team leader. Listen, we are super excited to be able to continue bringing you this show every Monday and Thursday, 6:45 a.m. So don't think that we take this lightly. We appreciate you all. But before we get started, we got to ask you to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification bell. That's the only way we can really keep growing. And jump in the comment section if you have anything to share when it comes to what we're about to talk about today. And I think we got a really great topic. So go ahead and start getting your brains rattled. The truth is what exactly? That's one thing we're going to be pretty much discussing and trying to figure out here to this morning. Like, what is the actual truth in America, about our economy, about our country? Because everybody has a perspective on what America is, what it should be, and what it was. So I think today is a great topic. We will touch a little bit on the housing market as well. Not too much today, but everything kind of falls into this conversation because we hear so much about the housing market, everything like that. It's crashing. It's not. It's like, oh my goodness, everything is everything. So I'm super
just driving in today, right? Like I'm listening to a video and podcast and all of that stuff, and they're talking about California and the cost to buy a house and what it is to rent right now. And man, it's just scare factor after scare factor after scare factor. It's like,
right. And it's like, do we believe it? Do we not believe it? Like, what is the real? What is the real? What is the truth?
You don't know what to believe anymore. I mean, there's so much content out there on the good and the bad. And you got to read through in between the lines and all that stuff.
And I think that's starting to get a little harder to do every day.
It is. It is, right? It really, really is, James. If you're not educating yourself, and you and I preach it and talk it all the time, if you're not educating yourself, if you're not, involved in what's going on and looking at numbers, at the end of the day, numbers don't lie. They should repeat history, right?
What if those numbers are inflated?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Who's writing these numbers? That's what I'm saying. It's so much, man. It's just so much. But before we get started, I definitely want to say that we are having a holiday coming up. And again, as I mentioned, you all know by now, I do not celebrate a lot of holidays. I do not take these holidays as a must-need day. I mean, it is just another day to me. Again, that's just my quote-unquote truth about holidays. But I do want to shout out all the veterans, the ones that has passed in battle, the vets that are still alive, who have service-related injuries. Me and my beautiful wife, who is a vet herself, we service a lot of veterans in the real estate market. To have a closing today with a veteran, it brings a lot of joy to close a veteran. I love it. I wish more veterans had opportunities to purchase homes. Unfortunately, we run into a lot of situations where our veterans are in bad situations, whether it's financial. There was no financial literacy classes when they was getting out, while it was in. A lot of vets, did a horrible with their money, gave their wives their money while they was overseas and came back home to nothing. It's a lot of different situations where a lot of our vets are suffering. And they need housing. The veteran homeless numbers have risen dramatically. So I do think veterans should be the first ones to be able to get a house if a VA loan comes across the table, but that's not the case.
James, you're VA buyer, young, middle, older. What you got?
Great thing about my VA buyer, he's 24 years old.
Nice.
He's 24 years old, Daniel. This is what makes me want to slap myself in the face sometimes, because he's 24 years old. He's already 100%. He did 2 tours already. He was a Marine. He's in college, going to school to be a nurse. Super, super high energy guy. buying his first property, has over 50,000 in the bank saved up. Great guy, and again has great values, and knows the value of money and experience and education. So I double salute him. I talk to him all the time. I'm like, man, if I knew what you knew, and with the knowledge I have now at your age, bro, I'd be so crazy in the game right now. But he has a lot of potential to be great. Yes.
That's awesome, man. 24 years old, buying a house, in school to be a nurse. We're always going to need nurses. I mean, I talk to my son all the time, because he kind of flip-flops back and forth and what he wants to do and all of that stuff. And I'm like, look, man, your great grandmother was a nurse for 44 years and is retired and can do what she wants when she wants and doesn't have to rely on anybody. And that's a pretty damn good feeling, right? So that's awesome, man. How did you meet him? Being that we are the closing table, I love stories like this, James. So I hope I'm not taking your thunder from Thursday's meeting.
No. He came through from one of my lead generation programs that I am involved in. And
wow, it works, James? That lead generation works?
Lead generation works, bro. and I promise you, if you're an agent or of any sorts, it works. So I'm sorry if you don't think so. But
the problem, James, talking on that, right? Like, I love that we're talking about this, right? Here's the deal, and I've seen it firsthand. It's with anything, whether it's a dialer that you call or a lead generation that provides you leads. You get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leads from it, and they're garbage. There's no callback. There's no communication. And then you walk away and you try the next best thing. If you just stick with it for 30, 45 days, 60 days, all of a sudden on day 61 or 65, you're going to get a call from day 2 that you're like, man, I called James. That was 45 days ago. Like, you're calling me now. Like, that's how it works. Then it starts rolling. I'm sure you can go into depth.
I attest to that, and I'm glad you brought that up here, but I'm gonna need you to bring that up in our mastermind as well, because that's one of the things we're talking about.
I'm ready to go, man. I got 8 hours of sleep last night, man. Working out 4 days in a row. The wife's down 5-6 pounds. I'm down 3. We've hit the gym every single day since Sunday, man. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
We're kicking ass on this end. We're coming for you guys up there.
I hear you. That's good, man. Awesome. But yeah, definitely we're going to be talking about that on our mastermind as well. Before we jump into this conversation, again, Memorial Day is Monday, so enjoy your weekend if you want to. Go barbecue, go feed a veteran somewhere, go get your free veteran meal if you are a veteran, because you're going to have free meals, I think that's what it is. Maybe have discounts on flights. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the fact my wife is a veteran, because if we do take a flight, we are pushed to the front. They say, any veterans, come on, you can board the plane after everybody else in wheelchairs. So veterans get to board the plane. I love that. But a lot of people think that traveling, traveling a day or two early is the play. Well, bad news. Over 51,000 expected flights are happening. So just because you think you're going to fly early and get a better flight and less traffic, no, it's going to be just as horrible. So
51% of the population is thinking the same thing. They're like,
everybody starts
to get the hell out of here. It's going to be crazy.
And during Christmas time and Thanksgiving, when we travel, I think this past Thanksgiving, we wanted to leave early. We was like, hey, let's leave a day early. We beat everybody. But our flight got canceled, so we had to leave the next day, and travel was so much better. Actually leaving a day of versus leaving a day or two before, because they said the airports was horrible. Like, the TSA was like, oh, you lucky you left the day, because yesterday was crazy. So everybody starts to get the same ideas. The conscious grid get to running, and everybody's running to the airport a day early. So yeah, holiday travel sucks.
It does, man. It is absolutely horrible. There's hopefully you can work remote, and when you want to plan to travel early, like for Memorial Day on Monday, leave Tuesday this week.
Leave a whole week early. That's what you should do. Definitely.
Nuts, man. Nuts. Yeah, man. Memorial Day, for all the vets, military people, everybody that's out there, definitely, take Monday as a day of recognition. And if you're out and about and you see a restaurant or someone where a vet is getting a free meal, doesn't mean that their partners are, and their partners have been involved with it as well. So maybe buy them a drink, buy them an appetizer or something like that.
Do
Just do something nice. You'll
Yeah.
feel good about yourself.
Yeah, indeed, I totally agree. Real quick, if you're investing in the stock market, again, we're not your financial advisors, but make sure you're investing in the right market, something that's tangible. Right now, the stock market is on a downward spiral. You know what's crazy? Because just 3 days ago, when we did this podcast, it said the stock markets are rattling. You know, like it's always this back and forth. Oh, the
Two
stock
things,
market's
James.
down.
I thought about this today, right? Like I've asked my financial advisor, and I've had people ask me as well. And like you said, we're not financial advisors. Like, when is the right time to invest? What should I be doing right now with my money, right? Should I buy stocks? And is the stock market going to crash and then I'm going to lose? Should I put my money in a savings account and the value of the dollar is dropping down? You know, people are like, what do I do? Like, I have friends that will call me and ask, and I'm like, look, man, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a Florida realtor and a Florida insurance guy, man. I'm just, I'm doing my research and my homework. So it's one of those things. Like, there's so many like interest savings accounts. Like you said, you can buy gold right now. For me, I want to see the market, especially the stock market, drop a little more before I really start jumping into that. It's crazy. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to do with it.
Indeed. Right now, if you are into stocks, and this is not a sponsor mention, but public.com, that is a great place to buy treasury bonds. You can get 4.95% interest returns.
What's the minimum buy?
I think like 100, $200. Yeah, on treasury bonds. Yeah. Right now, I just the last month, I've placed about $4,000 into treasury bonds, and the yield on it has already yielded me in just a month $10. It doesn't sound a lot, but those $10 that interest over the next 12 months is going to be a few $100s. So that's
James, it's not a lot, but you're making your money work for you.
I'm making my money work for me. That's all that matters. And I think a lot of people get the idea that $10 is not a lot, but what is it doing for you parking that $3,000 or $4,000 into a bank and making 7 cents over the next 7 years?
You're meaner than me. I was gonna say 30 cents, but
but yeah, it makes no sense. So I'm technically, and we don't know what's going on with these banks. So I would rather put my money somewhere in a Fidelity account, or a some type of treasury account where that money is more likely to sit and not be loaned out to another institution or another buyer. That's the thing about these type of accounts. They can't lend your money out. They don't lend your money out. Your money is there to to draw interest like it should, because it's invested in something. So yes, definitely check out public.com if you haven't already.
I'm interested to see what Bitcoin does.
Bitcoin is down $3,000 right now.
It is, but I think it may go down based on last night's interview with DeSantis and Elon Musk. And because there was talk about it, that, he didn't say he didn't like it, but he was just basically stating that, it's going to go away, in a nice way. So I wonder if all the listeners and the trends make that stock go down, right? Because just 2 weeks ago, it was at 30,000.
Right. So
now it's at like 26.
26.39 right now. And while we're talking about it, since you brought it up, DeSantis was a shit show last night. The DeSantis overall, there was
DeSantis, or was it Twitter?
Well, DeSantis choosing to go on Twitter and have this shit show happen, it's pretty much his fault as well, because I was really rooting for him to have a great, which he did. He did have a great approach to his presidential ticket. I think he's going to be a great nominee. But honestly, if you go and look at all the polls right now, and it could be biased, and again, we don't know what's true in America anymore, and it could be a biased poll, but DeSantis is down 70% since last night. He has some really strong views. Don't think that some people are ready or was ready for his strong approach on such a huge platform where he's talking to so many people. I think it's really it's aggressive. He has an aggressive approach. Do I like it? I love it. I love everything he's saying. It makes me want to move to Florida. It makes me want to become a resident of Florida, as I said last week. But on the face value, everything, he's coming off to a lot of people as if he's creating a secession. He's trying to concede Florida from the rest of the United States because everything is so left right, and he's so far right in the eyes of the rest of America that we have the NAACP coming out to him saying that it's horrible for Black people. Again, the NAACP can do whatever they do. I mean, I never liked them anyways, but overall, I just feel like I think he should have done a few rallies, and was just on some regular, shows versus doing this big announcement on Twitter. I don't think this was the right platform.
So I'm the opposite. I think in life you have to take chances. They may lead you to the top of the mountain, or they may kick you down to the bottom of the mountain, right? That is still to be seen with DeSantis and last night. I love the fact that he went outside of the regular routine of getting on your Fox or your CNN or your local news or standing in front of the White House and all that stuff. It was a different platform. Did it go over the best? Absolutely not, right? There was hiccups. There's 50 million people streaming, whatever it is. Everybody's commenting. It broke Twitter. But it definitely started something new. I was actually working out, listening to it. And I can tell you the last 4 years, the last 8 years, I have not watched any candidate presenting themselves as I'm running for the president of the United States of America. But I did listen to it on Twitter, and I did keep hitting that refresh button until I got the sound. And once it was actually working, it was different, man. It was nice to have it in the palm of my hand and listening to it. So I was excited about it. I think the next one, they offered to multiple candidates to come on and do it. They did not shut it down to just DeSantis and his team. They basically invited everybody, So hopefully Biden will get on there next.
No, Biden wouldn't even know how to turn on the damn spaces. But no. I think
that'll be a slow episode.
Very slow. I think at this point,
that's not right, man. I'm sorry.
Honestly, I think at this point, it comes down to when it comes down to Biden. Biden is so far, he's so disliked even by the people who voted for him originally. I don't even think he's going to even have a chance. I don't think he's going to have a chance at all.
I don't either. I mean, unfortunately, again, like multiple people here that, say, I don't think he has a chance. I think there's more than 50% of the U.S. citizens are dissatisfied with the way that the country is going, right? And things that are going on, where money's going out, job employment, stuff like that. So I definitely think it's a Republican show over the next 18 months. And I think we will end up with a Republican president. In my opinion, I hope.
So have you not been checking out JFK Jr., Senior, something like that?
Yeah, I think Trump, DeSantis. I don't think Tucker's running. I read something where he's not running. I think that was just crap. So I gave some false information there on that.
No, it's totally fine. Again, this is come down to the conversation, what to believe, what is true,
Yeah.
It's not like we're trying to give false information, but we're just giving information.
No, I wanted to see the three amigos compete. Now I get it though. Now Tucker needs to be the narrator for that August panel, whatever it is, right? Like that's what I want to see. You think that?
And listen, one thing I'm gonna say about this is, again, I think I was talking to the wife, and this whole DeSantis Trump situation, even if it was Tucker also involved in this, we have some more. We have I forget the black guy name. I
South
forget his name.
Carolina.
Say that again.
Is he from South Carolina?
Yes, him.
Scott?
Something like that. I can't remember.
Travis Scott? No, Travis Scott. No.
You said Travis Scott. Oh, they're gonna
I'll
come
look
for
it up.
you, bro.
I'll look it up. My dad likes him a lot. My dad likes him a lot.
Oh, let me.
I'm looking it up as well.
Here we go. Here we go. His name is Tim Scott.
Tim Scott. Yeah.
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 But
highly
yeah,
Christian, highly Christian, and but well spoken, and you know he can put on a show, and the audience relates to him. His conversations and some of his the way that he handles himself is pretty impressive.
I'm not ready. This is again. It comes down to me. I'm glad the fact that he's not running on the blackness of America or the blackness
Correct.
of Congress. I love that fact that he's not trying to use that as his running basis. I did see Whoopi Goldberg, attack him on The View. They always attack any Republican. They're calling him a coon. They're calling him all of these things. Now, don't get me wrong. If he win, he win. But all of these, he would have never. The only reason he's throwing his name in the race, just like DeSantis, and let's just say that it was a situation where overall any of them wanted to win. They know they're not beating Trump. Trump is so far in the lead on the Republican side because if anything, they can't be his running mate if they're not putting their name in the race. So overall, I think they're putting their name in the race to be his running mate. That's the biggest thing. They're trying to. You're not going to hear them attack Trump. Just like last night, he didn't say anything to attack Trump. He just made some statements that shows that he's a little different than Trump. But everything he stated was that I am in support of Trump and what he would do, and vice versa. Trump would be a great running mate for either one of these characters. So I don't think they're in it to beat Trump. I think they're in it to make it interesting and give themselves a shot if Trump wins to be the running mate for vice president.
30 days from now, the margin from Trump to DeSantis will be 15.
No
It'll be
way.
15. People will relate to DeSantis more than Trump. There are people that love Trump. They love Trump. But the train has ran its course, my friend.
He has 4 more years, and people want to see what he can do in those 4 more years.
DeSantis is going to be your president, man.
And listen, don't.
I've already pledged my nomination. I've already went to his website. I'm already in. I'm getting my sticker. I'm getting my T-shirt.
I'm not arguing with the fact that that's very possible. And just like B. Walker said, he's relatable to the younger crowd. He knew how to get out there and reach the younger audience by jumping on Twitter. I get that. I am receiving all of that. But the truth to the facts are that, and these are not even say the truth. My truth and what I'm perceiving is that we have never in the history allowed just a new person come in. This person has already built. They're always going to go with the history. Just that's why they chose Biden. They went with the history. They know what he can do. They've seen something he can do. We're going to go with Trump because of the history of him already being president. And and everybody wants to know what would have happened if he had another 4 years. Now, I know he's not going to be able to turn things around in 4 years. No one can. But people are in this mindset that I know I'm familiar. People go with familiarity first, and they're familiar with Trump. I think DeSantis is great, but I think for the American people right now, he's too risky. That's just my thing.
I'm going to close my eyes for the next 4 years if Trump becomes president because it's going to be crazy. It's going to be
amazing,
nuts.
bro.
Like he will basically do whatever the hell he wants to do.
I think that's the perception that we have. Why do we have the perception? Because we thinking he's
because that's who he is, man. Hey, listen, the good, bad, whatever, right? They talk good about you, they talk bad about you, they're talking about you. That's what.
But do we think that because of we think he's holding a grudge from the last presidential race?
I don't think he is. I don't know, man. I don't think he's holding a grudge. I do think at the end of the day, inside, hopefully his heart is that, he doesn't like the way that America is running right now. And he does want to make a change. He doesn't like to see everything. And, for the next 4 years, if he does become the president of the United States, I do think that he will be very, very pushy, and it'll be his way and only his way.
I think he'll be pushing. I think he will be pushing, but I also think he understands the fine lines of bureaucracy where he doesn't want to be a one-man show and just push things through just to make, people's lives hell. But I think the things that he do try to force to be pushed through is to help our infrastructure become the infrastructure it should have been if he had that other 4 years. Again, $31 trillion, $32 trillion in debt, which we're about to talk about next, the debt ceiling, but $32 trillion in debt, and none of it went to our infrastructure. None of this went to the building of new schools, new libraries, new things that we need, new tech buildings, new tech facilities where people can go learn, new ways to operate technology. Nothing went towards our growth. All of it went to feeding homeless, and nothing wrong with feeding homeless. But not everybody's homeless. There's people claiming to be homeless. There's people claiming to be broke. There's people claiming to be this and that. There's people claiming to be not well off, but a lot of people are choosing to also be unemployed. They're also choosing to be the people who just trying to live off the government. There's also people that just feel like I'm owed this, I'm all owed that. There's people who are here still talking about a damn what is called, start with an R. I don't even know the damn name for it. What is it called, Daniel? Somebody help me out.
Help us out.
Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say, but they think they owe money because their grandparents were slaves.
Oh, Jesus, James, I thought we left this conversation. Okay.
Reparations. People out here want money for reparations. They're saying the government owe them reparations when the government is the one who fought a damn war to have them freed, from slavery. So the false ideology that the government owes you something keeps us from moving in a more developed country, or keeps us from building a more developed country, because we have presidents and we have leaders and we have people in Congress who's constantly fighting for 1,000-year-old situation, to give people of today opportunities that they weren't actually the ones going through it. Did
that fizzle out, or is it still going on in California?
Man, all of that crap is still going on. It's not going to stop. The reason why it won't stop is because we have people who actually believe that they were truly affected by something that happened 600 years ago. The idea that we should continue to take our debt ceiling higher and higher, as B. Walker just said, because entitled people who feel like they're entitled to something, who hadn't actually went out here and worked for something, deserve something. And I'm sick of it, man. I mean, because it's a false reality, bro. It's a false reality. It's not real. So that we have so much going on. We have Congress right now who still can't come up with a conclusion on this debt ceiling, on stop spending damn money.
On a holiday weekend, right?
On a holiday weekend. Come on.
I just feel like it repeats itself all the time. So on a holiday weekend, some of us are going to stay back to negotiate, all of that stuff. Well, hopefully they don't have to travel very far, right? Because it's going to be crazy traveling. So if they do come to an agreement, it's not going to get signed off because everybody's got to come back to the house, right?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I'm really, at this point where things really have to come to a conclusion, because it's a perpetuating mindset. It's a perpetuating lie. It's a perpetuating structure that keeps everybody just building this fake ideology that America owes them something all the damn time. There's so many grants out there that just because you're black, or just because you're a certain ethnicity, just because you're from a different country, you can get these opportunities. And 80% of people don't even take advantage of those. But then they turn around and say the government is not giving me anything, where you're not even looking where the government are putting these things into play. And then you turn around and say, well, they didn't teach me that either. When do you take accountability for the lack of information that you have?
That's the issue, James, is that people don't take accountability. That's the big issue, is that they just don't take, they're not accountable for their actions. And, you know, everybody unfortunately wants a handout or wants you to show them how to do it. No, you have the same opportunity as everybody else. How do you make it? You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things, man. You know, there's no accountability anymore.
Yeah, we have Star here saying, yes, the past needs to stay in the past, build for the future. I totally agree. I think that's what a lot of us, I think that's what majority of the people in America wants. Majority of people in America wants to build for the future. That's the only reason we have different parties, because one party wants to constantly, recoup from the past, and the people on the other side want to build for a better future. But it's like having weights on your feet while you're trying to swim through the shark-infested waters, of the world. How do we do that? How can we actually, swim past the BS and get to the point where we need to be, where everybody can actually live, in tandem? And, I'm not saying we need a communist society, of course, but there's an opportunity for us to all have a greater outcome. Now, we have to be honest now. This is the part where we really need to be honest about who we are in America, who we are in the world. There's no such thing as equality when it comes to your personal finances. I may spend more money than the next person. That's my fault. That I didn't get a better education. That's my fault. That I didn't choose to leave that damn job that was only paying me $9 an hour and go get a job that paid me $18 an hour. That's my fault that it's my fault that I would use things like racism or something that would cause me to feel as if I can't get that job because of my skin color. That's all personal shit. When it comes down to it, it's not that. You have opportunity to build your own business, start your own anything. Go start a damn farm, build your own garden. If you hate the pesticides that's on your food at the grocery store, what's stopping you from putting your own seeds in your own yard? So there's so many different situations that keeps us from moving forward, because so many people in America are holding the negatives of the past over everybody's head. They're even holding it over their own head. That's why they can't move forward. That's why they can't get where they're trying to go.
James, you know how I am, man. That's why I stopped watching the news. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather read it online and filter out the shit that's irrelevant. Because when you watch TV, it's negative. There's 10 negatives before maybe one positive that comes about between commercials, conversations, and everything. It is just negative talk all over. I was just at a networking meeting, right? Networking meeting supposed to be upbeat, shaking hands, having a good time, seeing how you can try to help each other out, stuff like that. And like, I got myself into like 2 or 3 different side conversations that I had to step away from because it was all talk. Oh, the real estate market sucks. Insurance rates are going up. My bank account, my dollar's dropping. I haven't had a deal in 3 months and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? I'm like, maybe it's not crashing. Maybe it's pretty positive out there. Maybe it's your process that you need to look into yourself. Hold yourself accountable. The reason why you don't have a deal in 3 months is because you're not doing something right. You're stuck in your pattern, and you need to look at that pattern and say, okay, you know what? I can eliminate this. I can do this better. Let's wake up at 4:30 in the morning and start sending this out. Wake up at 5. Let's go to the gym. That's the problem. There is no accountability, and everybody, I can't sit in those conversations with negative talk. I have to walk away.
Because it rubs off on you, man.
It does, man. It does.
And it has you start to thinking like, well, what if this happens to me? What if my business starts slowing down? It creates this, repetitive mindset throughout the world, because I like to consider everybody on the conscious grid. We all have the same thoughts being delivered to us. We're all getting the same information, but what you choose to believe and invest in yourself personally is what's going to create your outcome. So for me, I totally agree. Bernadette said, I don't know why black people think they're going to get reparations. Anyways, the Democrats do this every year before an election to get the black vote. Gavin Newsom actually put the reparation committee together and then denied the recommendation. I mean, honestly, the recommendation was pretty crappy. The recommendation was pretty horrible, and that would definitely have caused the state of California to pretty much file for bankruptcy. So, I mean, overall, I don't know if you've seen it recently, but
James, I've always wanted a house over there, my friend. I'm just waiting. I need another 30% drop. I'm buying over there, man. I've always wanted to go surfing on some big waves, man.
I hear you. Don't you got waves on the East Coast as well?
Not like California.
Not like California.
You can go surfing with sharks. I'm all for it, man.
Got you. So Dave Chappelle recently, I don't know if you've seen that, but Dave Chappelle recently came out and said that when he got on stage in San Francisco, he had a show. And one of the things he said when he first got on stage was like, what the hell happened to San Francisco? He was like, I used to come here years ago, and this was a beautiful town, beautiful city. Like, it was a place you always wanted to be a part of. But what the hell has happened? Like he said, we need to get Batman over there. It's like Gotham City. It's like, how in the hell did we let San Francisco become this? Like he said, he was out eating at an Indian restaurant, and a guy just came up outside of the restaurant right next to pretty much where he was eating and took a shit, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of those releases, but I'm assuming it was the worst one. But yeah, that's how crazy it's gotten over there in San Francisco.
Isn't that crazy, man, that's happening right here in the United States?
Bro, are we becoming the third world? The truth is, and people don't want to really realize it or to accept it, but is it true that we're becoming the third world country now? Every other country that we used to look at and as a third world is now becoming flushed with cash, flushed with opportunities, flushed with technology, flush with new buildings, new infrastructure, new bridges, new cars, new electric living, new technology-based, everything. And it seems like we're declining. It's like we're supposed to be the leaders of this new world. It looked like they done put the brakes on this new world and created a society that's just mostly focused on crime, sex, and pretty much hating each other. I don't know what's going on with America, but I know we need to get as I said last week, I think we need to get our country back from whoever is in control of it. This shadow government is really driving us into the mud.
The crime is ridiculous, man. The crime is outrageous. Every article that I read in between every other article is, some type of guns, some type of shooting, some type of violence.
Cop just killed this person. Somebody just choked out this person trying to, it's like constantly like you're being bombarded.
I will give some credit. I did read an article last night. Yeah, last night, I think it was last night, that a school, I think it was in Texas, a teacher, somebody suspected something suspicious going on, was going into the school and asked to use the bathroom. They called the local sheriffs, came and found a whole bunch of artillery and everything inside the vehicle. So, so was pretty impressive. Just, hey, they were curious and just said, hey, this doesn't look right, and call.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't hurt.
I'm sorry, but I've become a Karen. I don't know why I've become a Karen, but I am a Karen now.
You're a dad, you're a husband, you're a family member, you've got partners.
I am 100%. A Karen. I seen some people riding through my neighborhood who look suspicious. I flagged them down and I'm like, what are you doing here? Why are you videotaping in my neighborhood? Like, no, we don't. I don't know what you're doing. Are you a realtor? Like, what is going on? Like, because I want to protect not just myself, but my neighbors. I want my neighbors to be able to say, hey, this happened. I want you, like, protecting each other should be the goal, because not everybody is on positivity. The world is too full of negativity to think that everybody you run across is going to be positive. So you have to protect yourself. Sometimes we have to approach some situations with hostility, and just kind of like, hey, what's going on here? So
James, as a partner, I'm going to ask you not to flag anybody down that looks suspicious. Please just pick up the phone. That's all you have to do, my
Listen,
friend. I
the
don't,
thing
I don't,
about
I don't need, I don't need a phone call, right? I know that your wife is ex-military and stuff like that, and I'm sure she's beat the shit out of you a couple of times.
listen, I know how to keep my distance, and I always got my gun in arm's reach. But
But
no,
you know,
I understand.
unfortunately, until we get back to accountability and back to positive vibes in the U.S., there's a lot of negative stuff going on out there. So stay away from those, suspicious things. But I'm with you, James. I will go out on a limb. I won't leave you out there by yourself. I tend to be a Karen sometimes as well, especially when I'm out. I'm always looking. My wife will always ask me, she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm looking around. I'm looking for somebody carrying a backpack or something, man. Something crazy out here, Like,
and again,
I see too many movies come to real life situations,
I agree. And again, like you said, I'm a family guy. I have people that I care about, people and things that I love. So I want to make sure I'm always being in protection mode. Because as a man, and I hope I don't get flagged for masculinity here, but honestly, as a man, I feel like that's one of our biggest roles is to protect now, and make sure when we go out into this crazy society that we are on the, on the brim of making sure like everything is on the up and up versus, hey, this looks suspicious. I'm not gonna go over here and tackle somebody because I think they're suspicious, but at least I can have my motor running in case something does happen, because you never know. You don't know what to expect these days. But yeah, overall, man, before we get up out of here, we got like another 10 plus minutes. I want to talk about why people think money is evil, and the people with money, why they think these people shouldn't have as much money as they have, creating that communist mentality. Like China, you can have a lot of money in China, but they only let you withdraw like $50,000 a year, which is crazy. I think we talked about that before, but overall, most, and I don't want to keep calling them Democrats because not all Democrats feel like this, but a lot of Democrats feel like taxes like the rich should be taxed more, things like that. There'll be less homeless people if the rich didn't have so much money. They say people with that type of money are evil. They have this mentality that money should be dispersed equally, which I mentioned a minute ago. Money would never be equal, because even if I had $1 million and I gave it to a person with nothing, that money would end up back in my hand sooner or later. Because just because you give people money, that doesn't give them the inclination that they know how to use money properly. You
James,
can't just have money to use money to have money.
So I'll talk about tax season, right? And so April 15th or April 16th is tax. Everybody's taxes are due and everything. How much money does H&R Block spend on commercials and advertisement, and how many paying tax citizens does it attract, right? And I learned this probably 10 years ago when I went to my accountant for the very first time. And he's like, and I went to H&R Block, nothing against him, right? Simple, easy, do your thing, right? So he's like, let me see your last 3 years of filings. I go, okay, brought him in, took care of it. It's the difference. It's hiring a professional, right? And so if you don't want the government to take all your money and you want to get as much back as you can, go to a professional. I know H&R Block is a professional, but at the end of the day, you're on your line, you're on your computer, you're guessing at what can be deducted, what can't be deducted, as compared to a CPA, a professional CPA license. He went back 3 years. He got me and the wife $15,000. That's because I did my own taxes with H&R Block. And since then, I've always used accountant. They tell us, hey, I call it a pulse checkup, right? I use that a lot now. Every 6 months, hey, where am I at? What am I doing? What can I spend? Am I good? My mileage, my gas, this and that, and all that stuff. You can save a ton of money that way. Ton of money. They may even tell you to set up your own business, right, James?
Indeed. That's exactly what they may tell you. And again, you don't know what you're missing until you use a professional. So start using professionals. Stop trying to be cheap and, go down to H&R Block or whatever, or just go to those places that people actually do this. Go to those people that people actually do this. I've come across so many people who told me about how they got gypped on their taxes and all the opportunities that was missed because they went to a commercialized tax preparer, someone who was just hired for that quarter to do taxes, who don't actually have an education in taxes, don't actually have an education in preparing taxes, just somebody that took a 2-week class and say, this is how you run things through the system. If everything goes proper, then you hit this button. If something goes wrong, you call this number, So
Yep.
I really do think that, again, using a professional can save you way more money than just trying to do it yourself or go down to just one of these places that is constantly bombarding you with commercials and stuff like that. But yeah, man, overall, man, she said, Star said, money isn't evil. It's a mindset. It's about being smart with money and using it for good. How you feel?
I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got to have your money's got to work for you, right? You've got to invest smartly, right? Listening to you, James, in the start of this show, we're at episode 39. I've got myself. I think I've got 25 little bars of gold now because of you.
Hello, you got 25 bars and you got 25.
Look, they're tiny little ones.
Yeah, I got the tiny little ones. I got a little bitty ones.
But, those are things that you have to do. You've got to research it. You've got to make sure that you know what you're doing. But it can be evil. It can turn people into something that they're not and ruin their lives. So again, surround yourself with positive people and professionals that can help you prepare for a better future.
I totally agree. And again, I think once we get out of that ideology that money is evil and people with money should be giving it away, man, most of these billionaires are dumping their money into, charities. Some people say, well, it's their charity, so they're just getting it back. There's opportunities for you to get that money out of that charity too, whether it's theirs or not. There's grants. They put so much money in grants. They send so many kids to college. They send so many people out on, opportunities to better their lives and careers by funding their college, by funding their opportunities. But we always like to say money is evil when it does so many great things in the world. Now, when it comes to the middle class has it hardest because the middle class in my eyes has always been a facade. There's never been a such thing as a middle class. There's either poor or rich. I think the middle class was set there as a facade to sell a lifestyle to the poor people of America, of the world, because people don't aspire to be Bill Gates. People don't aspire to be Elon Musk. People don't aspire to be, Mark Zuckerberg. People don't aspire to be Warren Buffett. People aspire to be middle class. People have, because it's a lower reach. It's a lower reach. When people who have come from nothing, I'm talking about living check to check, and they want to be something, they say they just want to be a teacher. They just want to be somebody. They want to be as successful as a doctor. They want to be as successful as the person who lives 3 or 4 streets down that has the $400,000 home. They just want to get out of poverty, but not realizing, to me, I think overall, the middle class is just a facade because they're in poverty today. People in the middle class who people can't even afford middle class can't even afford $400,000 homes right now. They may have a $400,000 home because of what America was when they purchased their home. But today,
hopefully they're at 2.5% interest rate, right?
Exactly.
Like, don't leave.
They couldn't sell that home today and go out and afford another $400,000 home. They couldn't go out and afford another $500,000 home because the facade of being middle class is that I have a decent job, I have a nice house, I have a nice caravan, I have a nice car, my kids are going to decent schools. But people don't realize that those people are still living check to check. They just get bigger checks every week or every 2 weeks, you know?
Well, I don't even know what middle class is and where that dollar amount stops and where then you're considered, I don't know, wealthy. I won't say rich, wealthy.
Right, wealthy.
Because I personally know people that make really good money. And I can tell you just based on conversations that they're not investing, they're spending their money, they're
struggling just as much as the next.
Just as much as the next. And they probably have $500 in their account, just like somebody that's considered middle class may have an average of $300.
300. Like I think that's the facade, is that we're sold on assets of things like a house and a car and what school your kids go to, but not realizing the hard work that these people are putting in to keep up this facade, because no one is teaching anyone about saving or investing properly, because it falls into that category as well with the debt ceiling. I don't think student loan debt should be paid or forgiven. I just mentioned that last week. I don't think we should be forgiving student loan debts.
And you have student loans, and you say
I have them. I have them. But at the same time, they're mine. They're not the government's. The government gave me the money, but I chose to accept that cash. Just like I think kids shouldn't be going to college now. College is so overrated. Until they change the structure of how college is being paid for, I don't think we should be going to college. I literally had friends that went to college just to get some re-up money. If you don't know what re-up money is, that's to get recoup money to buy drugs and sell drugs. They went to college just to get those first few checks, and then they dropped out. They have enough money to go sell drugs. Now they're going to just be a hustler. That's a lot of people use those. It's an easy situation. It's an easy situation to access money when there's other easier ways to get loans for real things. But you're going to go and get $20,000 in student loan debt just to do something idiotic with it. I think overall, they ask you to do a 5-hour. They ask you to do a 5-hour financial literacy class on how to repay your debt before they give you the money. And
James, talking about the finances and investments, right? And they don't teach it. I will tell you, it was Thursday last week here after our meetings and all that stuff. I had our financial advisor come in, sit down with our daughter. She's 19 years old. And I'm like, look, you need to listen. You're not investing multiple hundreds and thousands of dollars. You're investing what you can invest. And this is your financial advisor until you fire her. And I said that right in front of our daughter, a financial advisor, and said, this is your financial advisor until you fire her. You call her if you have questions, things that you want to do. And every 6 months, every 7 months, you should do it. Because at 19 years old, I wish I would have known that stuff, right? But I didn't. So, and they don't teach it in school, and they don't even teach it in college unless that's your profession, right? Yep. But people don't realize the importance of it. I know we focus on the now and not what the future entails. And, so I'm sure like you're doing with your daughter, and we're doing the same thing with our daughter and our son right now. Is like, look, you need to understand these things, right? Like you're $1 made, save 30 cents, stuff like that. So
I totally agree. Yeah. With my daughter right now, she just got a new job, but she's 17. Your first 4 checks come to me. They're going to be saved and invested. That's what is going to be. That's going to happen. You don't need money. I've already seen what you do with money. You blow money. So no, I'm still paying for you, even though you have a job. So
she didn't take me up on my offer as my transaction coordinator for you,
bro. She wants it. Trust me, she wants it. But I don't feel like she's responsible enough to even handle that type of responsibility. But once she get there, I think she's going to be locked and key. She's going to be locked and key. So I definitely, agree that we have to reach our children as soon as possible. We have friends who are teaching their kids right now how to be CEOs, run companies, and things of that nature. So I do tell everyone, hey, start teaching them now, because you can't expect the school system to do it. That's not what the union is paying them to do. The union is paying them to be your babysitters for 8 hours a day and all they're going to do is just dump some basic math, some basic English, some basic life structure into their lives that's not going to get them to the next level. So it's up to you to take that extra hour, 2 hours a day, sit them down and let them know this is more important than playing your video games. This is more important than being in your cell phones. This is more important than being hanging around your friends, because it's going to be up to you. I can't hold your hand for the rest of my life. And if I hold your hand for the rest of your life, you're going to be expecting the government to do the same thing, you know? So listen, man, great talk, great conversation.
Hell yeah.
I
just had that conversation last night, James.
Aspire, because B. Walker said aspire. I must have said, yeah, I know I meant to say aspire. I know the difference.
James, I just had that conversation last night with our son. I just said, like, you want to go to college? You want to go there? You need to change this pattern that you have that's been consistent over the last 2 years if you want that to happen, you know. And he's like, Dad, you're right. I understand. So, you know, actions speak louder than words. So let's see you take care of it.
Indeed. Listen, we're getting out of here, so make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button and notification bell if you haven't already. At the end of the show, please drop a comment at the end of the show. We definitely appreciate everybody that comes in every week, Monday and Thursdays, 6:45 a.m. This has been The Closing Table. I am James Garman.
Guys, it's a holiday weekend. Use Uber. No drinking and driving. Stay safe. See you next Thursday. We won't be here on Monday, James.
Oh, yeah. See you next Thursday, because we would not be here on Monday.
And we got guests, right? Don't we have guests coming?
We have guests coming next Thursday, yes.
Top producers, husband and wife.
I think it's a husband and wife team. I love those.
Obviously.
All right, until next time, everybody, have a great one.
Thank you.